Okay, hey y'all. It's your girl X, and it is early o'clock in the morning, but I'm here. So, how are y'all? I hope you're great. I hope you're doing fan-fucking-tastic. Me, on the other hand, I'm getting better. Going through the healing process, and it's a process. It's a journey for a reason, because you can't do everything in one day, right? But y'all, excuse me if my voice sounds real hoarse and low, because like I said, it's early as fuck o'clock in the morning. Well, it's not that early. It's only 7:32 a.m., but that's early. Anyways, I've seen fights at 8 o'clock in the morning, so I guess it ain't too early. But when I woke up, I was like, okay, something needs to be done. Like, I have to unlock something in myself, right? And it really just dawned on me, I guess, that the relationship that I just got out of took a lot out of me, to where when when it ended, I was left picking up the pieces of what the fuck have I been doing with my life, right? The quarter life crisis, right? Because when you're young and dumb in your 20s, you trying to get you somebody to get married and have babies with, and you got a house and shit like that. But what the fuck sense does that make below 25 years old? Hell, below 30 years old, that shit sounds fucking insane to me. But I fell for it, right? They say when you don't stand for something, you fall for anything. And I wasn't standing up for myself, so I was falling for any fucking thing. So that's just what I want to talk about. Some of the things that put me in a position to not know myself in this relationship. And then after I talk about it, I don't want to talk about it no more because, yeah, I don't. But I understand that that's not how healing works. So it's going to come back up. But just to get it out in the first place, that way it's not just sitting inside of me, just choking me and suffocating the fuck out of me. Okay? I'm going to tell y'all. So, yeah. So, I don't know if I told y'all the backstory about my relationship I just got out of. But I got in a relationship with my neighbor, right? And when we were neighbors, like, just, hey, passing by and shit, we would talk sometimes. And, me, I had a dog. When I would go walk my dog, because she was a puppy, so she had to go out like every 4 hours, every 5 hours, right? So, not all the time I stepped out the house, I looked decent, but at least I had on clothes. Okay, I might have had a bonnet on, my scarf on, some shorts, some booty shorts, some long ass basketball shorts. Like, I just came out the house looking any kind of way, because I didn't have nowhere to go but to sit inside the house. So what was I looking cute for? You know what I'm saying? So during these times that I would just be looking like I just rolled out of bed, I would stop and talk to my neighbor, right? And yeah. So before I started dating my neighbor, he showed me that he had a son. Brand new baby. Brand new, fresh out the coochie baby, okay? I was like, okay, cool. That's nice. Like, I wasn't concerned. It didn't affect my life at that point, but I didn't know that it would now, okay? So, as time goes on, I meet people who connect me to other people who it's a whole fuck, like, when shit's connected, that's when you know something's up, right? This was planned. not by anyone in particular, but this was a part of the plan. God's plan, right? It was part of God's plan for me. Because the way things unfolded, I wish I was making this shit up, okay? So, like I said, I had a dog. She was a puppy, wild as hell. And she would get loose. Like, she knew how to get out of the collar, get out of a harness. This girl was smart. So, her ass ran off and took off on my ass. And so I went to chase after her. Or not chase, but walk after her. And I find her behind my building with, like, there were 2 kids and then a man and a girl. Like, the mom and the dad, right? And so they outside chilling. And they was like, oh, I was wondering whose dog this was. And I was like, yeah, it's crazy ass dog. And then me and them became cool, right? So these people connected me to another guy. The guy from my essay story that I talked to y'all about. So they connected me to this guy. I never really paid attention to this guy, right? But then I was forced to pay attention to them, which was a bad decision. But anyways, follow on. So I'm just put it all in open, okay? So these the neighbors that live behind me, right? Live behind my ex in the building. You know what I'm saying? So they introduced me to this plug. It was 2 plugs. I would shop from one. Ended up sleeping with the other. And being SA'd by the other plug, right? So before the SA incident happened, this dude thought that he was my boyfriend, right? So he came to my apartment looking for me. I wasn't there. So he went and asked my neighbor, like, hey, you seen this girl? He was like, you seen my girlfriend? He was like, no. And then so I feel like that shifted things for sure. So time goes on, that situation ended with that guy. And I decided to work on myself. So as I would just be minding my business, walking my dog, my neighbor stops me and was like, hey, can I take you out to eat? And I'm like, well, shit, I'm hungry, so sure. And I went. And, you know, like when you get in a relationship and things start getting real serious real quick, that is a very, very big red flag. Red flag on the play, okay? Get the fuck out of there. I'm not even playing with you. But see, that was my pattern that I'm learning that I had since being in school, right? Being in middle school, like high school. Because when you're young, it just feels right for it to happen so fast. Like, oh, I'm in love with you. You're my boyfriend today. I had a boyfriend today. I got a girlfriend today. Like, that's what we were used to because we had telephones back then. We didn't have to pass notes for too long. Text message came in like, Dad, will you be my girlfriend? Yeah. Only took 10 seconds, right? So, when this relationship started, when it came into actually just being a relationship and having feelings addressed early on, it was what I was used to, right? And so the fact that I don't know how to say this. Like, okay, so we slept together on the first night, right? So at that point, I was invested because I had made a promise to God that I was going to be celibate, right? Until I found a long-term boyfriend. So I was like, I got to see it through, my boy. Judge me if you want. Like I said, judge your coochie first. And he who cast the first stone. Okay? I'm just telling you my point of view. Okay? So, when things kept going on, I felt as though I needed to stick it out, try my best to make it work. Which meant that I had to become okay with certain things that I knew weren't okay. Because I felt trapped, kind of. Like, if I leave, then I'll look like I had something to hide. Or it'll look like as if I was... I don't know what that fear was. But it's just like I can't back out, right? That's what I felt at first. And that was my mistake. Because you can always back the fuck out when you want to. As surely as you park that motherfucker, you can back the fuck out. Okay? Unless somebody's blocking you. And then you just push them out your way. At that point. That's what this girl did to my ass. Anyways. So, yeah. When I saw that things weren't to my liking, I felt as though I needed to play Bob the fucking Builder. Or Dora the fucking Explorer. And look for clues and look for this, that, and the third. Just look for a way to stay. Make it easier to stay, right? See if I can solve the problem. But the problem wasn't mine to solve, y'all. It was not mine to solve. Because like I said, this man had a fresh out the coochie baby. That alone should have told me to run for the fucking hills. But I was bored and hungry. And showed me a good time. So... when you're in your 20s, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. I'm not saying you should make the mistakes I made. Or if you have made some mistakes or worse mistakes that I made, then kudos to you. Because you have a lesson to learn. You have lesson to learn. And once you learn it, you got to teach other people. So... as the relationship progressed, me and my ex, we were still neighbors for a while. So he still lived in my building. And so whenever there would be a disagreement or anything, like, I felt like I was always moving, or everything I did was pushing him away, right? So for example, we're sitting there watching TV and watching Catfish. And it was like, oh, people actually like talk to people on the internet. And I was like, yeah, I've done it before. This man got the fuck up and left. I'm like, what the fuck? And my dumb ass went after him. The fuck? Knocking on his door and shit. Like, ugh. And this happened a couple times. This is why every time I felt like I lost myself, because I was like, you know what? I'm doing all of this for someone else who just didn't give a fuck about me, didn't think twice about my feelings. They just got up and walked out. And this pattern repeated itself for the duration of the relationship. And every single time I lost a piece of myself, because I ended up crying and crying and crying and crying and crying. And I wouldn't understand why. And it's because I was holding back from myself. Because me, I don't like to cry. I really don't. And I know if I'm going to cry, I'm going to wear some waterproof mascara. Okay? If I got to go buy some, I'm going to do that. But one thing I ain't finna do is have my mascara smearing all over my fucking face. So, when I found myself having my mascara streaked all over my fucking face more than once, I was like, who the fuck am I? Why am I crying like this? Why am I a chillona? No quiero ser chillona. Okay? And there were good parts of the relationship. Right? One of the happiest days of my life happened in this relationship, right? But also some of the saddest. And it was a very, very sad day. A day that this man looked me in my face and told me, sometimes I look like a boy, sometimes I look like a girl. He just don't know. And I sat there and stayed. And I'll make sure that when he came home, I looked decent-ish. Because like I said, I'll be at home all day. What do I need to look cute for, right? I know who I am. I know I look cute. But at that time, I didn't know that. And so I couldn't even do my makeup right. Like, I would do my makeup and it wouldn't look right. And I would just wash it all off and start from the bare again. Just do my eyebrows. Maybe some mascara. Keep it pushing. No. I love putting myself together. I love putting together a picture. I look good with no makeup on, and I look good with makeup on. I know that I was born a woman. I identify as a woman. So therefore, I'm a woman. I was born as a female. If you want to get technical. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, if I look like a man to you, and you still eating my coochie, or you still fucking me, that's your problem, right? That wasn't my problem to take on. But I didn't know any better. So I took that problem on, addressed myself, not him. So that is one of the things that sticks out to me, that where I lost my sense of who I was. Because I knew sometimes I looked like a man. Sometimes I looked like a girl. I knew that. But guess what, though? The niggas still keep calling. These niggas still keep calling. I'm pretty sure your nigga calling me now, honestly. But no, for real. I, like, one monkey don't stop no show. If you think I'm ugly, kudos. Kudos, okay? You ain't got to look at me. But I'm glad you here listening to me, though. But anyways, I would internalize so much hurt in this relationship. And whenever I would speak up, it would turn into a battle against me when I wasn't the one who was in the wrong. I was speaking up for myself, but I would get, I don't know how to say it, but like it would turn into a battle against me for speaking up for myself, which is always best for you to do, is speak up for yourself. And if anybody don't like that, fuck them. Okay? I'm sorry. Let me say it again. If somebody don't like you for speaking up for yourself, that is their problem, because they can't speak up for themselves. Okay? Don't fight with nobody who can't fight fair with you. Okay? I'm not getting in the ring with nobody that I just know gonna whoop. Like, what? Instead of getting in the ring and fighting battles that's bigger than you or beneath you, stay out the fucking ring. Stand up for yourself. You ain't got to get in there. Walk the fuck away. Okay? And that's what I should have did. And there were many times where I just wanted to walk away. I would try my best to just leave, and I would stay, which irritated the fuck out of me. Right? Because the day before, let me tell y'all this. So the day before I found out that I was pregnant, right? We had gotten into an argument, and me and my ex, we were talking about having children, right? It's funny how this came up. And so I told him that if I was pregnant and I didn't see any improvements in the relationship, we be eating at the doctor. What the fuck do I look like, right? And he was like, well, that's not fair because the child didn't do anything. The child didn't ask to be here. And I'm like, yeah, you're absolutely right. But I'm not going to bring a child into this world knowing that I can't even care for my fucking self. And I knew that about myself. Like, I don't have what I need yet, right? I need to be able to provide, right? But I didn't know I was already pregnant. So, argument went on all night. I eventually got in my attic and pulled down a suitcase to get ready to fucking leave. And for some reason, I got talked into staying. And I don't know why. And one thing my ex would always tell me is, "Quien te quiere más que yo?" Which is, who loves you more than me? And I would say, well, myself, for one. He'd be like, Nadia. I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Who loves me more than you? I'm pretty sure Jesus loves me a whole lot more. And it took me crying on top of my dog bed while this man is sitting in here watching my fucking TV for me to realize that he's not coming to pick me up. Okay? Now, God and Jesus, they can pick me up. I had to ask them to pick me up, and they did. And it's been a long time coming. And it just hurts my feelings that I lost hope in myself. I lost confidence in myself just because I put myself. Because I made a mistake, right? Let's just put it that way. I made a mistake. We all make mistakes, okay? And I feel I had to make the mistake right. But the healthiest thing to do is make the mistake, address that you made a mistake, and move the fuck on. Don't do it no more, okay? But after the last time, I was like, I can't keep making the same mistake. Can't keep crying about the same shit. Can't keep going down the same path. Can't keep giving somebody a reason to make me feel bad about myself for another day, right? Can't keep allowing somebody to tell me hurtful things just because it makes them feel better about themselves. Or I can't just let somebody sit here and tell me about how much they love money and how much they love going to work more than they love taking care of their own child, right? I can't do it. Can't do it. So I just want to let y'all know what I was going through. And I'm pretty sure I've explained some of it in other episodes, but it's just always a different point of view. And there's different levels to healing. And that's just what I'm showing y'all. Because I had to realize that I realized that it felt like there was one final nail that needed to go in the coffin, right? And so I decided to put that there. Put that nail in the coffin. And once I did that, I had to go back and worry about myself. And say, okay, what's the lesson? Damn it. What's the lesson? And my lesson is first off, I learned a couple of lessons, right? one lesson that I learned is that if somebody tells you that when y'all break up, you best find somebody better than them, go ahead and start looking right the fuck now. I'm telling you. Look right the fuck now. And the only person that you can find better than them is yourself. Okay? And I didn't know this. I thought, oh, well, we're not going to break up, so I don't need to worry about that. Silly me. If you can't see your life without somebody, then you need to reevaluate who you're living for. Are you living for them and their purpose, or for what you were put here for? Because they weren't there when you were born. They weren't there when you were created. They weren't there when your parents was hunching or whatever they did to bring you in this world. So basing your decisions off of them is not going to benefit you. Because the damn sure didn't benefit me. Because shit. I stayed behind, like, last year, this time. I think on this day, me and him were in an argument because my best friend had called me, or I called her, just random. And I was like, what you doing? And she was like, oh, I'm on my way to St. Louis. Because her aunt passed. And she was like, you're welcome to come. You're invited to come. And I was like, well, shit, I got free flyer credit. Somewhere to go. Somewhere to stay. And shit, ain't shit to do here. Right? And so I was booking a ticket when my ex got home. And he was like, well, what you doing? I'm like, trying to get a plane ticket. And he's like, what? And I guess he felt that I didn't discuss it with him first before I started making decisions. This was my life, and I had to explain that to him. And so I went on this trip. And when I went on this trip, we weren't talking. And we were arguing back and forth. And I'm like, hey, if you gonna keep talking shit to me, get the fuck out of my house. Get the fuck out. Don't be there when I come back. I said that plain and simple, just like that. And when I got back, he was still here. And I was like, what the fuck, right? And the reason he was still here was because he needed me to stay. Because my lease was up on 4/20. 4/20. I was going to be the fuck out of here on cloud nine. Happy as a motherfucker, okay? When I get back, I know I got homework to do, stressed out. I needed to wash my ass. Just had to drive 2 hours to my dad's house, 3 hours to fucking Augusta. Like, I'm fucking tired, right? And then here he comes with arguments. And the whole thing that I stayed for was because he needed my help to help raise his son. Or not raise his son, but to help out with his son. And I stayed. Which I shouldn't have done because I was not at fault with anything. It wasn't my fault that any of the things in his life were happening. Things in his life were happening because of who he decided to procreate with, and it wasn't me, right? So I should have exited stage the fuck left. But I stayed. I just can't. I can't hold back from y'all, right? This is my safe space. And as much as I would love to just say, you know, I stayed because of the dick. No. I stayed because I was running from myself. Because once I was given the chance to sit down and know myself, and somebody else started giving me attention, I was like, well, fuck my feelings about, like, fuck my trauma, right? But in all honesty, I'm glad things happened the way they did so that I could actually sit down with my trauma. And it is so freeing to just sit here and go through the choices I made in life and say, okay, I'm not gonna do that again, or well, that worked out for me, so I'm gonna keep a note of that, right? And what did work for me in this relationship was that I did my best to be the best person possible. I can't speak for nobody else, but I can damn sure say I did my best. Okay? Had me in here cooking arroz y frijoles, and carne asada, y carnitas por Thanksgiving, and beer, barbacoa por la Navidad. I did my best. Now that I'm here at this very moment, I know some interesting things about myself. And one thing that I want y'all to know is that I cook some real good Mexican food. Okay? Taco night. Oh, we gonna get down on taco night. We getting down. Okay? And another thing I learned about myself is that had not been for the way things transpired, right? I wouldn't have found the connections to the music that I needed, right? Because before then, I would download like random Spanish songs to help me learn Spanish. But these songs barely had sentimental or deeper meaning to me. They were just nice songs to listen to. You know what I'm saying? But Jenny? Oh, bitch. We can cry together. We can cry together, sis. Like, I just didn't know that there's more than what I was exposed to. Because I wasn't exposed to much. And so being exposed to more helped out. And like I said, the relationship wasn't just all bad. For me, it was. But no, it was a learning experience, to say the least. And I learned that I have to trust myself and leave a bad situation when I know it's best to. There was no reason for me to stay and keep fighting against myself to the point where I didn't even trust my own thoughts. I didn't even know where my thoughts were coming from. Like, who put these ideas in my head that I can't do this and I can't wear this and I can't go this place. It can't, like, who put this in my head, right? So I had to get to the bottom of all of it, right? And so I just feel like I'm putting pieces of the puzzle together. And it's coming full circle. Which is kind of a good thing. I mean, I don't want a semicircle. And it's a full moon outside, so strange things happen in full moons. One time I said that, and then I got in a car accident right after. So, strange things happen in full moon. But from this point on, I don't want to talk about my ex, my past relationship. I don't want to go through and divulge all that trauma. And he did this and didn't do this and this, that, and third. Fuck that. Okay? It's water under the bridge. I figured out who I am now. And I'm going from there. And also, I'm hungry. I'm learning to trust myself more. Figure out what I could have done differently, and applying that to what I'm doing now, right? So, for example, every time I would go somewhere, I would always be fearful that someone was following me or something. You know what I'm saying? I was going to run into somebody. Let me run into them. What did I do to anybody? Nothing that I know of. If I did something, then I would have something to actually be afraid of. That's what I had to tell myself. If I was a perpetrator and was just being petty like I used to be, then I would have had something to worry about. But I was so wrapped up in not knowing what the fuck to do in my life that I can't even just come up. I didn't have the energy for all that. I had to worry about myself. I was too fearful to do anything. And that's that fight or flight. And this whole relationship, I would go in between fight and flight in seconds. Wake up and fight. Yeah. It was crazy. But like I said, it's all water on the bridge. Lessons learned. So many lessons learned. But the most important thing is that don't let nobody show you who they are more than once. Believe them the first time. That's something Maya Angelou said. And also, if somebody tell you that you need to find somebody better, do exactly that. But that somebody better be you. It better be you every single fucking time. If somebody say, oh, you never gonna find nobody better than me. Start looking. And I bet you once you look in that mirror, you're gonna be like, oh, they're a liar. The boy's a liar. The boy's a liar. Okay, like, that boy's a liar. That boy ain't mine. Okay? Because when you worried about the boy being yours, that's when you get Monica punching Brandy before you go on stage. Like, you don't need those problems. He ain't yours. He's a liar. And what do we do with liars? Leave them where the fuck they at and move on. So, if anybody's trying to make you feel like you can't love yourself enough, you don't need them. Because you are the best thing that happened to you. I'm the best thing that happened to me. Finding out who I am and what I'm capable of has been the best thing for me. Because now I'm not just coming from a place of emptiness. I'm not coming from a place of surface level trauma. I've dealt with the surface and the inner levels, the deep levels, all the way in the bottom of mi corazón levels. Okay? And y'all, I didn't even talk this much Spanish before. But look at me now. Not that I'm talking a lot with y'all. It's just, it's me. It's a part of me. I'm sorry, I had to get comfortable, y'all. But I'm more free to be me. I'm more free to express myself. I don't have to feel like, oh, if I say this is going to make somebody mad. Because if I'm not offending you, then why are you mad? If I'm not saying, oh, you a broke down, then you can be mad. If I start calling you out your name, then you can be mad and you can sue me. And I'll let you do it. You'd have every right. But if I ain't talking shit about you, what are you mad for? I can only tell my point of view of the story. And so if anybody got mad, if anybody got a problem with you telling your story from your point of view and how you had to learn to love yourself, then they weren't meant to love who you were in the first place. They had a problem with you for the get-go. And that's what I had to realize about myself. Because I had a dream not too long ago. I think, well, according to my journal, right, the day before I saw that Cheese answered my question on her podcast, I had a dream that my ex came up to me and was like, I see you like I saw you before we started dating. And before we started dating, he stopped me one day. He was like, I don't see you as like a little girl. I see you as like a woman who got her shit together. And I was only 22, 23. I was like, I'm a grown woman. And I can do whatever I want. But I was wrong. I was the girl. I was a little girl. I watched too much Cheetah Girls. I love Cheetah Girls too. But anyways, that's beside the point. The point is to get to a point where you know what you do like and what you don't like, and stick with that. Okay? What I don't like is motherfuckers who were more about what I'm doing than what they need to be doing. Okay? Because as much as I did my best to be a great partner in a relationship, I was loyal, respectful, thoughtful. I was everything and above. Child, I would marry myself if I could. Okay? And it always felt like I was going to get caught doing something, or I was going to get accused of doing something, and it was just going to be all over, right? Because every time something came up, it was like, oh, well, you're a liar, you're this, that, and the third. The insults were outrageous, and in Spanish, and in English. And I'd just be like, well, damn. You know what I'm saying? But as much as I wanted to be, or could have been a bad person, as much as I was probably expected to be a bad person, I didn't meet those expectations at all. And that's why people have to remove themselves from you. They have to retreat. They have to forfeit their game sometimes. Because they can't just keep fighting a game that's not meant to be won. I already won the game. I know who I am. Right? If I tell you I don't cheat, and that's exactly what the fuck I'm going to do. Not cheat. If I tell you that I'm not going to ask you for shit, you best believe I'm not going to ask you for shit. Okay? So, when people don't take you at your word, even though you are a person of your word, that's because they not a person of their word. So they not expecting you to go above and beyond what they're capable of, the expectation that they have for themselves. Right? Just like taking a standardized test. You can pass, you can be average, you know. You can be whatever. You can go above expectations, you can go below and still pass. Or you can just go ahead and fail. And that brings me to another story. When I was in 5th grade, I was taking the CRCT. I'm pretty sure I told y'all this story before. But my teacher didn't teach us everything. She was still scrambling to teach us shit the day before. So I knew where my weaknesses and strengths lay. And so I knew that if she didn't teach us about pi 3.14, I need to teach myself. I need to know a little bit about it so that I'm not failing because of her being below expectations, not meeting my expectations of a teacher, because she was too worried about eating and sometimes being racist and a lot being complacent to a lot of shit that was going on in this classroom to do her fucking job. So during the test, I did what I knew to do, and I would skip over all the questions that had anything to do with pi. Then I'll go back. I'll go back, and I just start crying because I'm like, I could only do so much. I tried, right? I did my best, and I was so broken hearted because she didn't meet my expectations for her fucking job. And so if I do bad, that means everybody else in this classroom is going to do bad because we were all sitting in the same classroom. They had even more time sitting in this classroom with this teacher than I did, right? And this girl next to me, her name was Alexis. She tells me, she's like, Muriel, just guess. And I'm like, I can't do it. I can't base my fate off of guessing when she didn't do her job. I was counting on her to do her job because I studied. Like, I prepared myself. She just didn't prepare me all the way. Anyways, turns out that I actually did a pretty good job on that test. I didn't finish the test, but I did a pretty good job to where they put me in advanced classes. So the point of that story is that had I just said, you know what, I don't want to do the test at all because she didn't teach me right, or if I would have just did any other strategy than what I put together in my head and did right then and there, then it wouldn't have turned out that way for me. Because whether or not I knew the answers to the questions, I knew what I needed to do and then go back and do what I wanted to do. Because if I know everything else, I can do that first. Get that out the way. That way I can go back, take time, and gather my thoughts. But I met my expectations for myself for the fact that I tried. I did my best. And I didn't want to guess, and I didn't guess. Whether somebody filled in the answers for me or not, I have no fucking clue, right? Because they took me out of the classroom and took me to the office. And by the time I got to the office, that was within the last 20 minutes of us taking a test. So it took me like 15 minutes to get over there. So I didn't get a time. I didn't get a chance to finish the test at all, from my memory. So do your best to know who you are, because then I knew what I was capable of. So it's easy for me to come up with a plan and stick to it. But when you don't know who you are, you can't come up with a plan to save your life. Literally. Like, I don't know my plan to fix my life, but I do know that I'm clearing the path so that way when it comes, I'm ready to act on the spot. I'm ready to take action on the spot that will work in my favor, instead of when that time comes, I'm still stuck on making old decisions and repeating mistakes and repeating patterns. And the only way to not repeat patterns is to address that you have a pattern and decide to change it. And so that's why I had to come do with y'all this morning. Not do to y'all, but do with y'all this morning. Address my pattern of being attracted to things that come in an instant, right? Because yes, it was nice to have some attention, But it wasn't the right kind. I needed to give that attention to myself first before taking up somebody else's problems and making them my own and making my life's decisions based on their choices. Because I probably wouldn't have went back to school. But, you know, he said it would take care of me. I didn't have to work. So I was like, well, I don't want to just sit at home and not do nothing. And that's just not going to work. So I went back to school. And I just kept going through. Well, then I actually knew what I wanted to go to school for, which was sociology. But then as time went on, realized that, well, actually financial aid came and changed the plan for me. But yeah, that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. School. Good old school. But I have to talk to y'all for 50 minutes. And it has been the best time ever. Because now I feel so much free. I don't feel like I have to hide. Because there was a lot more to this relationship than I could ever explain from my mouth. We would be here all fucking day. But for this little hour, I got out what I need to get out in order to move forward with my life. Because that telenovela shit, that's what my life was about to be. And I had to just take myself out of the telenovela. You know what? Like, turn General Hospital or something on. Okay, all my life, all my children, something. Turn the channel, something else. Let me go back to what I'm used to first. And figure out why I like telenovelas. And then incorporate that instead of just going one way or the other. Okay. And that's just a figure of speech. I used to watch soap operas with my grandma when I was little. And when she would come home, we would watch General Hospital. And then she was home before 4 o'clock. Then she would watch all my children. So yeah. It was kind of natural that I would be drawn to telenovelas, right? Because I already loved soap operas. But telenovelas are very informational. And what I did with that information was try to incorporate it into my life. And that wasn't what I was supposed to do. It was supposed to be a lesson, you know? Like I'm going to school. Learning what to do and what not to do to be in their situation. And that's with anything in life. When you're talking to people, it's like you're going to class. You're learning from a teacher. They are the teacher. And they are teaching you things about themselves. Okay? And so what information you gather from them, use that for your not your judgment, but your discernment on how to govern yourself accordingly. Right? Because, for example, when I was in college, there's this girl I knew. And I'd heard 3 different stories come out of this girl's mouth. One story was that she was pregnant, she had twins, they both died. The second story was that she was pregnant, had twins, gave them away for adoption. Third story was that she was pregnant, had a son, and he died. So I'm like, well, obviously she had a child, at least. I don't know the full story, right? But the children weren't in her life anymore. But whatever issue she had or whatever trauma she had surrounding that, she was hiding. That's why she couldn't even get her story straight. And that's I'm not judging her anymore because I get it now. I honestly get it. But that let me know that she hadn't dealt with it. So There was no way for me to expect the truth out of her for any fucking thing that came out of her mouth. Because she can't even handle something that is so important to her enough to tell the truth about it. Because me, I'm going to tell the truth. I ain't got no reason to lie. And if anybody think I'm lying about anything, go ask God. Okay? Because God sees me when I'm sleeping. He sees when I'm awake. He sees when I'm bad or good. So be good for goodness sake. He see more than Santa Claus. Hell, he made Santa Claus. Okay? Quit playing with him. Big G, not a little G. Okay? So, I'm not finna keep playing with myself and playing myself by not telling my truth, because I was given this life for a reason. So I might as well tell the truth, tell my story. And my story is that I got to fight. I have to listen to me first. I have to live for me. Because when I found out I was pregnant, I was like, well, now I don't have to live for me. I have to live in preparation for a child. And so I was doing everything possible to prepare to bring a child into the world, right? What about myself? What about big legs? I wasn't even big legs then. I was just legs. But now I know who I am. I'm big legs. Who is big legs? This little short 5'2" country girl who likes to sing all sorts of music and likes to talk to herself. Talk about herself, which is the most healthiest thing I could do, because I'm not being conceited. I'm not making myself better than anybody, because obviously the fuck not if I'm sitting here pouring my heart out to you and tell you about my mistakes in life. Like I can't just think that I'm better than you and just proceed to tell you about my problems and pretend like you probably haven't gone through a similar situation, or you probably don't have something to reference that to, because we all have done shit that is not fitting of our values and our worth. We have to know our worth. And so now I know how much I'm worth, I have to add tax. Which also led me to discovering my new sexuality. While I'm still here, I'll just explain that to y'all. So, I realized that most of my relationships were formed off of the basis of whether sex was going to be a big part or not. Which means that sometimes I had to test drive. Right? Sometimes I had a little yay. Okay. Sometimes I had a sneaky link. Okay. A couple of them boys from Tinder. Okay. So I was using sex to fill a void because it felt good, right? But as soon as I opened myself up with, like, to get to know someone with sex, right? Then there became this connection to where when their problems now concern me a little bit. They on my head. They in my mind, right? And when you don't know a person well enough to take on their issues, that's when you fuck yourself up. Well, that's where I fucked myself up. Okay? So, in every relationship, sex was the forefront. And That's not what I want out of life anymore. If we gotta have sex, then I ain't got to have you. Okay? That's just point blank, period. But realize that I might just be asexual, or I might have to change my sexual orientation to asexual. Not because I want a label, but because that's what I want for my life, to not lead with sex. If we hanging out and we know each other very, very well, to one day we wake up and say, hey, let's go elope. And I can make an informed decision and say yes, that's when we can get down and dirty. Because I know how to get down and dirty. I don't know how to get to know somebody to a point where I just go say, fuck it, let's go elope. And not have doubt in my heart. Or to just do anything with anybody and not have fear or doubt. So, whoever that may be, I am not in charge of that. Because I'm going to love everybody regardless. It's just, if you love sex more than you value getting to know me, then you can fucking skedaddle, okay? I need to stop hitting this shit before I break it. But yeah, sex is the last thing on my mind. Because it causes problems, it causes confusion. And this is not religious or anything. It's just my personal preference. Because in this relationship that I just got out of, we were damn near married. We just couldn't actually go to a courthouse and get married. So the fact that I would have signed up for that bullshit lets me know that I was being led by the sex. What the sex could give me, right? Power to coochie. I don't want to have. I know what power I got in my coochie, right? I know what it can do. But before you can know what it can do, you guys to show me some things. What can you do? Okay, who the fuck are you to even be thinking about what I got between my legs? Like, who are you? Right? And when that relationship started, I felt pressured into having sex, which made me feel bad about myself because I went back on my promise. But like I said, we all have choices to make. I made that choice. And now we're here. And that shows God's grace, right? Because he knew he needed to show me some things. And I asked for forgiveness. And in order to be able to see those things, I had to have a repentant heart. I had to say, you know what? That was my problem. That I had a problem. I'm so sorry. I ain't doing that no more because I learned my lessons. You know what I'm saying? And I shouldn't have done that. Like, when you know that you shouldn't have done something, you address it, you apologize, you make peace with it. That's repenting. And well, that's repenting to me. So I had to stop being so hard on myself because God already forgave me. He forgave me before I even said sorry, right? But I had to forgive myself and say, you know what? We live and we learn. We live and we fucking learn. And now that I know better, I gotta do better. So, there's that. But don't let nobody press you into walking away from your promise to God or God's promise to you. Because they weren't, if they are causing you to walk away from an agreement you made with God, then they weren't set by God. Okay? And that's what I had to learn. That was my lesson. Not saying that this man was the devil or anything. It's just that that was something I was supposed to look out for. And it was a test, and I failed. Because sometimes we take tests and we pass. But if you show up to the test unprepared, more than likely you're going to fail. And that took me a long time being in school to know and put that together just now for y'all. So, you're welcome. Well, I was about to tell y'all a surprise, but I ain't even got the surprise in the mail for it to be a surprise for y'all. So, it really doesn't matter. But, yeah, y'all. I just wanted to get that off my chest. So I can go back to the life of Lex instead of the life of a sad child. Sad little lady. And I don't want to go back to get my shit together. Okay? And I don't know why Apple Podcast still has my old logo from the Get Your Shit Together. Because this is life of Lex. We are living. No longer trying to get our shit together. We are living. So, I'm going to get that fixed one day. But until then, I love y'all. If you listen to this all the way to the end, can we get married one day? Like 50 years from now? Maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. Get to know me. I'll get to know you. Like, let me get to know y'all. Reach out. Hit a girl up. Say, hey. I don't know. Say something. Shit, y'all don't say nothing. Follow me on all the socials. My bad. I want to Lex you up. And that's Lex with 2 X's. Like the name of the podcast. But yeah. Y'all be safe out here. Have a good day. And if you can't have a good day, go back to sleep. And love, peace, and chicken grease, y'all. Bye.